Nice quick one.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. So today we have a really quick one, about maybe 15 minutes. Um, we want to talk about calm versus anxious energy. Um, I think a lot of people can relate to this one, if not everyone, because we all experience, the calm state and the anxious state or stress state. And the things that happen inside the body when this happens, right? When we're anxious, when we're stressed, when we're worried, when we're paranoid, when we're concerned, it can actually affect the body from the on the inside in the way that it can create and cause disease.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Rachel and I have been chatting about a little bit before we push the record button. So what comes up for you, Rachel, when I say anxious energy versus calm energy?
Yeah. Well, first, I really like that you brought up the body because that's the first thing that came to mind for me was the way it feels in the body. So when you brought up anxious and stressed, stress releases the hormones. They're literally stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, and those hormones increase inflammation, and the hormones are necessary for short energetic bursts to get us through or out of a situation that we might perceive to be threatening, like a direct threat to us. And so they're there for if we're actually in a situation that requires a fight or flight reaction. But what we're seeing today is that they're being generalized and used in situations where we're not actually under threat. So even when I see interactions on Facebook, for example, I've noticed the pattern. Someone will post an opinion and then there will be comments. And the comments are either in agreement or in disagreement. And I've noticed when the comments are in agreement, we probably creates the hormone dopamine. We probably feel good, like yeah, everything's going my way. When people disagree, it probably creates cortisol and adrenaline, and then we react before taking a pause, and then that just creates it just becomes a self-perpetuating reactionary state where we're creating more stress. So whereas opposed to calm, um, with shamanism for the people, we talk about taking the sacred pause a lot, and that's becoming more and more valuable with these instant reactions, instant conversations because of social media, um, and just so much information available now because of the internet, which we didn't have when we were cavemen, fighting, eh, possibly leaving the cave and fighting a saber-toothed tiger, where we really needed that fight or flight. But now we can invoke the sacred pause, check in with our bodies, and say, okay, what's going on? Is my heart racing? Do I feel like I'm hot? Like, what's my temperature? Am I hot? Because I feel like when I'm feeling adrenaline, it feels like heat, like I'm heating up, especially if there's anger in there. Um, and then we can't think clearly, as opposed to when we're calm, there are so many options for any interaction. We can send compassion out. Whereas when we're reacting from adrenaline or cortisol, we typically either want to be right and we want the other person to be wrong, or we just want to leave the situation altogether. Close Facebook and never return, or whatever the situation is. So I really appreciate that bringing the attention to the body and getting to know who we are in our bodies when we're feeling stress and anxiety and when we're feeling calm, cool, collected. What does that feel like in the body? And then using our knowledge that we know that stress causes disease, that stress causes inflammation. We know that. So, with that in mind, why would we create more stress for ourselves when we could access breath? We could take a pause, breathe, and choose from a calm, collected, clear place. That's actually something I love about the miracle question. And so, for anyone watching who doesn't know, one of the tools that Yana and I have learned in IPEC, it's called the miracle question. And what I love about that is I usually use it when I can tell someone's wrapped up in anxiety and stress and can't see beyond it. I'll use the miracle question and then put them in a whole other state of mind. And I could hear their voice change, the delivery change by the time we go through the miracle question and I start asking, what they experienced. Their voice sounds calm. Their energy feels calm, cool, collected, and they have so much more clarity. Whereas before they were only seeing what was wrong. And after taking a moment and accessing calm, they can see all the things that are working and going well.
Mhm. That one, the taking a moment and breathing, take a breath, is one of the best tools. And the miracle question, of course, it's an incredible tool that allows a person to see beyond where they are in this particular moment. And then when you were talking about the social media, I'm glad you brought that up because the social media, and I wrote that down, social media equals saber tooth. Social media has become the new saber tooth tiger that is always there, always there, always there. So this is where people have found themselves unable to turn off their cortisol flow, right? It's turned on, but there's a challenge that a lot of people face, and including myself. That's what I had to work through. That I was anxious all the time, all the time, all the time, from morning until the evening. And morning was usually the worst moment for me. It was more like a panic attack. And it's because I was waiting for that attack, waiting for that saber tooth. And social media is this new saber tooth in a way that just causes us to feel that adrenaline rush. And when you were talking about taking a breath, I remember this lesson that I heard, which was from Rise Sister Rise. So what she was talking about is jealousy and envy being a good thing. And I was like, yes, please tell me, because I know it's a good thing and I know why, but I want to hear it in your words, right? So because when we feel any certain way, right, aside from happiness and joy, our body's trying to tell us something. And in order for us to translate what the body's telling us, we must learn how to tune in and go within and listen and hear and try to understand. But it comes with practice, right? Something. So with this example, when you experience jealousy and envy, right? The effect of that can be also anxiety and adrenaline because they're having it, they're safe over there, they're playing in the water, splashing in the water, and here I am facing the saber tooth,
Mm-hmm.
right? With myself, with all the ways of how I am not good enough, all the ways how I'm failing and they're succeeding. Well, in that moment when you breathe, you can remind yourself that none of that is real. It's not real. What you're seeing on social media, I'm sorry to say, it is not real. It is a tiny little snapshot of a perfect moment. Those of you that are listening, you don't see my air quotations, but it's a perfect moment in that day. What about all the other, like, for example, a perfect family picture? How many people have a family that were able to, the whole entire family stands there still and everybody's happy, everyone is joyful, that there's no talking, there's no disagreements, there's no like a little bit of chit-chatting, and then taking the picture. Like that is also challenging to take a very calm, beautiful picture where everyone is doing what they are supposed to be doing.
And it's probably because that's not natural.
It's not. Like I think it's Bruce that said when somebody asks, act natural in front of the camera. Most people, they cannot act natural in front of the camera because it's not natural to have a camera pointing at you, so you can't really act natural.
Mhm.
You can't. You're going to be a little bit different. You're not going to be fully yourself because there is. It's almost like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. What kind of like a lens through a different. It's like a portal looking at you, like through the lens, right? And capturing this little moment. So going back to what I was saying with social media and seeing the fake reality that so many of us put out there, right? A happy, joyful picture doesn't necessarily mean that the person is happy and joyful themselves. A lot of people can still put on a show for the camera because they've had enough practice to do that. But in that moment, when you feel that jealousy and envy, it allows you to identify what you desire, what you want, and that you already know you have. You have just not been working on it. And also, it allows you to identify that's what you actually really want. Because sometimes we might look at whatever it is that you're looking at social media, it might cause you to feel a little bit of jealousy or a little bit of envy or a lot of it. And it comes from, I want that. I need that. I want to have that, which causes manifestation, of creating lack of. Because you're really saying that I don't have it, so therefore I need it, I want it. But in that moment, just pausing and really working through what is it really that you want from that. Because if you do, it might not be what this picture or this video is drawing out for you. It can be just a smile that somebody has or the confidence that someone has. It's not the thing, it's not the action, it's typically the feeling and emotion that we're looking for that we have. And since we're talking about calm versus anxious, if you're in an anxious state and you see something happy, peaceful, and joyful, you want that energy. You don't necessarily want to go and live up on the mountain, but you want to have that feeling right now, living in the loud world of being calm and zen and centered right now here. So social media, in other words, is the new saber tooth that causes so many of us, if not everyone I know, to feel anxious and to feel like they are not enough. And then quite often labels follow.
Yeah.
Right? That we put ourselves or somebody else gives us those labels.
Yeah. The news, the mainstream media is also really effective in creating stress and chaos and fear. And so it's another saber-toothed tiger arena to just turning on the TV. And it's television programming. And if we I think we are at a point now where we all have collectively agreed and understand that when we are living in fear or um, coming from a place of anger or shame or guilt, we're easy to divide. And when we're easy to divide, we're easy to control. So that's just more motivation to take that breath and expand out of that fear and into a place of love and trust and faith, especially inner faith, and access that calm, because from that place we're not easy to manipulate. If we can remain calm, we yeah we we're not going to be manipulated so easily, or forced, or people can use coercion, because we can swing that sort of discernment and see clearly. So calm is a great place to access clarity. And that's why practices like meditation are so helpful, because we literally are withdrawing from the chaos of the world to create a calm container in which we can access clarity and choose from there, and trust in whatever information comes through from that place of calm, and feel proud of ourselves for making that a priority to experience that calm, because then again we cannot be controlled from that place, whereas we're in reactionary mode all the time. Fear, distrust, anger, anxiety are really easy to manipulate.
Very easy. And and also like thinking of the adrenaline, the hormone adrenaline that all of us have access to, all of us know what that feels like. Um, when we have, especially when there's a very high adrenaline rush or shot that we get in our body. And even if it's not that high, even if it's just a little bit, it still affects the body and it clouds the judgment.
Mm-hmm.
It shuts down or slows down the functions of the body. Now imagine feeling like that every day, all day long. The body is simply not functioning properly at all because it's it's trying to work in an almost off position.
Yeah.
Like the switch is almost off and you're trying to get through the day, pushing through the day because you have to. And then what happens is the body is not resting, you're pushing it to a point of exertion that can like there like all that's coming up for me is there's no way to escape disease at that point
Yeah.
because it's just the body, it's not working, it's functioning, it's trying to but it can't because it's almost off, so it can't even work properly. And then you add food and it can't even digest the food properly, right? It stores that in the body because there's nowhere for it to go, because when we would face that saber-tooth tiger, the body shuts off. Like you can't go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Everything stays in you. So that's what I feel like a lot of people can relate to and understand, of how the society is living right now on social media especially, and their day-to-day life going into work as well. And then when you were talking about TV, like watching TV, I remember this phrase of how they came up with the name of TV. It's television. Tell a vision.
Mm-hmm.
So they're telling you a vision that is going to come, that is going to happen. That is called the programming. They're programming you and telling you what's going to happen for you based on what you're watching. So if you're watching like Rachel and I were talking earlier about this, if you're watching a lot of like commercials about, let's say, the pharmaceuticals, and they're telling you that when you hit 40 years old, this can start to fail in your body, this can stop working in your body, and this. But guess what? This miracle drug is going to help you with all of that. So what they have just told you is they told you a vision, what is going to happen to you if you continue to listen to these things and actually believe them. And actually what happens, it does get programmed in subconscious mind. But and then when you get to 40 years old, you might find yourself in that exact position and not remembering the vision that was told to you.
Yep.
Because it wasn't like this sacred moment where you sit down with a psychic and a psychic tells you a vision and there's a lot of feelings and a lot of exchange involved, and that you would remember. But the vision telling has moved on to this new way, television,
Really subtle.
that people don't even know that they're being told what's going to happen.
That's why it's so genius. Like programming. It's just like I often just sit back, look at the programming, and just like give it a clap because it's really like they've really figured it, like mapped it all out exactly. The powers that be really mapped out exactly how they want all of society to think and behave. So watching us all arguing with each other on social media, we're all just
Yes.
falling right into the script that was written for us. So that's why this kind of work is so amazing, because they can't control us. They can't predict us if we're coming from anabolic energy, because anabolic energy, you can't predict that. That's, spontaneous creation.
Yeah.
So whereas fight or flight are levels 1 and 2, very predictable behavior. And that's how all of our data is collected and farmed, and then our data is really our impulse. It's our reactivity. It's not calm, rational decision making. That doesn't really play into the data that they're collecting on us. It's really impulse. Scrolling, clicking on whatever the new games are on Facebook that come out and get your face, and they're like tell you who you look like throughout history or whatever. Those are all impulses. We're not pausing and thinking, where's this information going? Who's collecting it? Where's this image of my face going? So if we were to take more pause breaks, and think a bit more clearly about when we're reacting versus responding, then we can actually outsmart the data collectors, and then they won't be able to control us. So just some motivation.
I like how you said that you can't control anabolic energy, right?
Yeah.
The calm, the happiness, the joy exists. You can't control that energy because it's a very, very powerful energy. It reminds me of a lot of like Disney movies where, good always wins evil. Evil exists in lower energies, in catabolic energy, because they want to control. And if we look even in history, you can't really control. And people that try to control a group of people or try to control the world, people don't like to be controlled. So they will stand up for themselves and for their neighbors and for their family and for everyone. And when you were talking about, you mentioned divide and conquer. I just had a vision, so I'm going to tell you this vision.
Yana vision.
Exactly, Yana's vision, pun intended. When the lion hunts, he follows the herd, and his job is to scare the herd so the weaker ones will run in different directions. And guess what happens to those ones? They get hunted. Sometimes they survive, and sometimes they don't. And I love, using examples from the wild because we can also apply them to ourselves because we too experience fear. And when we experience fear, we're not clear. We're scattered. We're going everywhere. And if we have that moment of, take a moment, breathe, center yourself, bring yourself back to where you are, where you want to be, calm your nervous system. And the way to do it is slow, deep breaths, because slow, deep breaths tell your body you are safe.
Mm-hmm.
And breath is sacred.
Yeah.
We are born with the first breath and we die with the last breath.
Yeah.
Breath is really all we have that allows us to experience life that we really want. If you want to experience anxiety, breathe a certain way.
Yeah. Yep.
Experience calm and peace, breathe a certain way. Right?
Yeah.
That's it. And I know Rachel has to go because she needs to go get ready, so I'm not going to hold her back. I just want to say thank you for quick and short and powerful little lesson on calm versus anxious energy.
Yeah.
I think that's so needed.
And I just want to add, if anybody's listening to this and curious about the difference between catabolic and anabolic energies, reach out to us. This is what we do, and we bring people, we bring our guests on this journey through an experience through each of these 7 levels, so we can really feel who we are, who we're being, who we're showing up as when we're in catabolic energy and when we're in anabolic energy, because we all have access to both. So when we go through the experience of taking the ALI assessment and having a thorough debrief, we get to experience who we are at level 1, who we are at level 2, and then move out of that and then really experience our full potential as we experience who we are at level 5, that calm, cool, collected energy, the confidence, who we are at level 6, experiencing joy, who we are at level 7, experiencing absolute passion and bliss and that sacred connection to all of creation. And we all deserve to go on that journey through these levels and experience that and unite those feelings with the knowledge that the debrief offers. Just straight up knowledge. Level 2 is a quantum leap from level 1. Level 3 is a quantum leap from level 2, and so on. So I just wanted to offer that because this is such helpful knowledge to unite with these feelings in our bodies.
Yeah, and it's something tangible that you can actually see. That's why we keep talking about the ELI. It's a test of your energy for you to see how you're showing up in your world on regular days and under stress.
Yeah.
And that's not to judge anything as good or bad, right? It's just for you to understand. Okay, I get it. And most people already know before they even do the debrief. They already know how they're showing up, right? And they just want to hear what that means and what do I do now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's cool because it's an attitudinal assessment, not a personality assessment. So sometimes when people are around calm, cool, collected people, they think it's a personality and it's specific to that person. It's not a personality, it's an attitude. It's embodying the attitude of calm, cool, collected. And we all have that ability, no matter what our personality traits are. We can all access that energy. So, well, thank you so much. This was fun to do a quick one.
I like it. Thank you. Thank you. And next week we'll have another powerful lesson for everyone. No idea what it is, as we never do, but that's the way that we operate. you know, tune into the intuition and whatever our intuition tells us, and it's always in sync. We're like, yeah, let's go, let's do this one. This is perfect. And then we're here doing it.
Exactly.
So it was a surprise for everyone.
Well, thank you. Thank you for listening to your intuition and honoring my intuition.
Yes,
We can co-create
exactly.
from those higher levels.
Yes. So thank you. And we shall see you next week, and everybody else will get to see us next week as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much love.
Much love.
Bye.
Until next time. Bye.